Today is Head Day. Today's day the Head came out officially in theaters, and us monkey fans, it's a cult classic for us. Now, obviously, I have made some videos about Head, so I don't really know if I can make another one quite yet because I want to make a movie review for it, but we're not there yet. So instead, what I decided to do was combine every single Head video I made so far, and hope you guys enjoyed that. So without further ado, let's begin the marathon. Head is a 1968 American satirical music film adventure written and produced by Jack Nicholson and Bob Rafelson. Directed by Bob Rafelson, it stars the Monkees, and it was distributed by Columbia Pictures. It's a theatrical spin-off of the TV show and the Swan Song. It started production directly after a compilation of series production. During production, one of the working titles for the film was Changes, which was later the name of an album by the Monkees, which was the one with Davey and Mickey. Another working title was Untitled. A rough cut of the film was previewed for audiences in Los Angeles in the summer of 1968 under the movie Untitled. This is very interesting, but also there's one thing I should mention, and that while the runtime for the movie is 86 minutes, the original cut is 117 minutes. I bring this up because the movie is only 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is not even the original cut of the movie. There is an original cut, obviously, that was shown in theaters, and it actually still exists somewhere, but for reasons not fully explained, Bob Rafelson refuses to allow its release. Or, well, refused, because he's dead. So, can his ghost still say no? According to this forum, as per earlier posts, this person said that my understanding was that the original footage existed, but Bob Rafelson wouldn't release it. So it would be great to know if the newly discovered outtakes are indeed the original deleted posts, or just random takes from the vault. So, yeah. Here's another thing, though. Wait, hold on. Oh, sorry, There's a longer director's cut that exists in a somewhat finished state somewhere in the vaults. That was the story that circulated at one time, that the original preview cut, about 30 minutes longer, did indeed exist and was still languishing in the vaults, but as we know, rumors being what they are. And then a clarification here that the extras for Head are different in the Criterion BBS box set and the Rhino box set of the TV series. Most of the Criterion's extras are exclusive to their box set release. Supposedly, the commentary track with all four Monkees is the same on both releases. It was reported the same as the Criterion, not a re-edit version as was originally suggested, but there's no confirmation because I haven't listened to this either. I'm not buying that. So, other than that, the only extras the two releases share are the trailers, that the screen test and the screen test footage or whatever. However, if and when Head receives a standalone release from Rhino, it is not expected to include the extra material that is included in the box set, as the material other than the commentary track naturally appears on the exclusive bonus disc, not on the disc with the feature film. The Head outtakes are some of the coolest extras on the bonus disc, and a total almost 30 minutes in length. Not surprisingly, the extras on the Criterion release are most focused on the BBS production, and the extras on the Rhino release are most focused on the Monkees. Yeah, so this forum doesn't really give, much information to say, but somewhere out there, there is an original cut of the Monkees that was shown in theaters and still exists somewhere. But seeing as how Bob Rafelson has said no on releasing it, and the only Monkee we have left is Mickey Dolenz, and, obviously Chip Douglas, and, but I don't think Chip Douglas could help with this. But seeing as how Mickey is the only Monkee left, and we also have Andrew Sandoval running things currently, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get the original cut of the Monkees, considering the Rafelson estate, I assume, has it, which, not good. Not really too, peachy, but yeah, that's what I want to make a video about. We don't know where the original cut is. I don't know if we'll ever see it. And, that's everything. So, I'll see you all in the next videos. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, a show where looks can be deceiving. Okay, yes, you got me. This isn't a film theory video. MatPats are tired, we all know that, and there's a new dude in the film theory channel and stuff like that, yada yada yada. I'm aware of that. I basically clickbaited you. That's it. Press the boo alarm. But I need an excuse to talk about this theory that I've been thinking of for a while about the monkeys, the lore, and stuff like that, because I have this strange theory about the movie Head and their special 33 1/3 per revolutions per monkey. I've said time and time and again about Head, like I've already said so much about it, like Head's a movie they made, there's a lot to say about Head, it's a bit confusing, but if you look too deeply into it, you'll figure it out. But I haven't really discussed 33 per revolutions per monkey or whatever. I haven't discussed that one yet because I was kind of saving it for something, but I'm not saving it for this video because this is just a theory video, and I really do need to talk about this special because it's, well, special. But the main reason why I'm talking about Head and 33 per revolutions per monkey or whatever you want to call that, I'm just going to call it that for now, is because I believe those two things are connected. And I mention this because of the 97 special. The 97 special mentions Head, so it would make you think, is Head canon? Funny, I know, but I believe that Head is canon now that the events of Head did happen. Which leads me to my huge theory that everything in the Monkeys universe is connected. Besides season 1 and 2, Head, the movie, and their specials are all connected. It's season 1, season 2, Head, 33 1/3 per revolution per monkey, and then the 97 special, which, I mean, was filmed in 96, but it's still 97 special. Now, granted, at the end of 33, 1/3 per revolutions per monkey or whatever, California gets nuked, and they kill off the fictional monkeys. But we don't know if these were the actual monkeys. For all we know, this could have been, like, clones. Now, I know what you're thinking, though, but how in the world is Head connected to 33, per revolutions per monkey? How is that even connected?
How? 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 I don't know.
I believe, personally, that Head is basically what season 3 would have been for NBC, if they just kept going on with the show and didn't listen to the monkeys' demands of what they wanted for a third season, which, if you guys don't even know by now at this point, they wanted like a Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In kind of season, and they did actually appear on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, minus Peter, so there's that, but since NBC didn't go through with that, they instead had to make this. My theory goes like this. After the events of Head, Brian Auger and his assistant kidnapped the monkeys and prepared to brainwash them. So that would connect Head with 33 per revolutions, 1/3 per revolutions per monkey. And after all of that, the fake monkeys, quotes on that, get blown up along with California. But the real monkeys are still okay, as my theory is that they weren't actually, brainwashed. I believe they were more like cloned of some sorts. I don't believe that, like, the ones that we're seeing were the real monkeys, and I believe that the real monkeys were, I don't know, probably sent away to, like, an alternate universe or something like that, but now I'm just getting that out of my hand. On that note of alternate universes, I think that the 33 per revolutions per monkey show takes place, not show, but like special, takes place in like an alternate universe, and the real monkeys got sent back to the Head, slash TV show universe, and then that wouldn't make 33 per revolutions per monkey canon.
But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Well, I think Head is quite poor. The message of the movie is that we're all trapped, that the monkeys are trapped. That's not the message of the TV episodes, so I think it's painfully poor in that respect. The monkeys' main contribution, the music, was a filler. What we did in the TV series was that there was no senior adult figure. It's something that hadn't been done and wasn't done again for decades. It reflected what the kids needed to hear. No authority was good. It was just the four of us making our own way. Yeah, what do you think of the movie, first off, before we keep reading the article?
I love it. It's one of my favourite films. Obviously, what the hell was my initial response?
Yeah, no,
but you know, especially when I first got into it, which was when I was about 18. You know, I was into artsy stuff anyway, or relatively artsy stuff. Probably not that artsy, but I just like having something that's open to interpretation. And of course, the stranger something is, the more open to interpretation it is, because there isn't really a direct answer to what's going on. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting film. Actually, there's a video essay that I've been meaning to watch on it at some point. Although it's one of those things where I don't know if I should watch any videos on it yet, because I don't want it to affect my opinion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I only knew about this movie one time. I was just starting off, but the problem was I learned about this from the Monkees biopic, which I don't know if it was a good or bad thing, but since that movie got a lot of things wrong, I assumed that this movie was fake. It's not fake. I did find the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, it was real.
Yeah, I haven't seen Daydream Believers, but its reputation precedes it. I've not heard good things.
I made a whole video about it. If you feel free to watch it, you know, when you're free.
Yeah. I was watching some of your videos earlier, actually.
Oh, it's really nice. All right, so let's start this article, because we don't want this video to be too long for both of our channels. You know, I don't think people want to hear us ramble about, you know, four men that, you know, made a show and then they wanted to be something. So, let's see, where's the beginning? Rolling into theaters in November of 1968, Head was far from a happy hippie flower power flick. Both angry and funny, this is a hallucinogenic cinematic rant on fame, big media companies, old Hollywood, new Hollywood, and the battle for artistic freedom. That's an interesting way of putting the movie, actually, right? The burst of freedom comes at the beginning of the movie as the band interrupts a ribbon-cutting ceremony by jumping off a bridge. Is it a group suicide or a cosmic rebirth? More likely, it was some of that really good weed in Ojai. Yeah, they mentioned that because that's when they met Jack Nicholson to go get high and film Head, which was mentioned in the Monkees biopic, which they did get that right. The Monkees and Bob and Bert met up with Jack Nicholson, and they all got high and had like some tape recorders. And then Jack was like, "What if we make a movie?" And they all went with it.
Yeah. I heard that there was a dispute as well over the screenwriting credits because of that, and they went on strike or something.
Yeah, I read Mickey's book, but the thing is that Peter was the only one, surprisingly, who didn't go along with the strike. It was just Mike, Mickey,
I remember hearing that.
Which I guess contributes a little bit to Peter quitting first, which you would think out of all of them, Mike would have quit first. But, like, no.
Yeah. I think that ends up being a sort of a misconception because Mike didn't come back for reunions in the 80s.
Yeah, he did come back for, I think, in 1989.
There's like a TV special kind of thing, not like the 90s special. There's like a live performing in the studio kind of special. I haven't seen that one, actually.
Yeah, I think it was for a Christmas special. I made a video about that where they did reunite in the 80s for a Christmas special, and I don't even know if they knew Mike was like Santa Claus in that clip or if they didn't know, but I think it was pretty funny. Yeah,
I think I've just seen like GIFs of him as Santa Claus turning up.
I think what's ironic though about MTV making the Monkees more popular again is that Mike made MTV. So Mike basically helped make them popular again.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. But by the way, random thought: have you seen The Young Ones?
Yeah, let's keep going. Head moves from this underwater psychedelic sequence to parodies of a variety of Hollywood genres, war films, westerns, even boxing flicks to get monkey-ized. It's as if director Raffleson, screenwriter Nicholson, and the Monkees wanted to make sure they got to play in every area of Columbia Picture Studios before being kicked off the lot. Yeah, well, in Head, the Monkees are also hellbent on shattering their image as lovable, loopy innocents. A sequence with a female kissing each monkey is an obvious nod to the joys of groupies. The song Circle Sky is an intense commentary on the Vietnam War, and a scene with the wild character actor Timothy Carey has the Monkees laughing at a person with a disability. Bet you didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming, actually. But it might be a dream sequence with Andy Warhol Mylar balloons floating about that contains the most shocking moment. Nesmith probably telling an August crowd that he doesn't like Christmas. All right, that's a bit weird. Some reviews.
Wait, have you seen Head yet?
I have seen Head. I've watched Head a bunch of times. I have it saved on a Google Drive. I've watched Head to also prepare for this video when I was first like, oh, I want to collab with the Gen Essays. I should watch this again. And yeah, the message I got from this was the same thing that Peter said in a 2010 Newsday article, that like the message of the Monkees is that they were all trapped, and they wanted to get out.
Yeah.
I agree with
I think it's interesting that at the time they were making Head, they kind of saw the TV show as a mistake. And then afterwards, they kind of saw Head as the mistake.
Yeah.
I don't think either is a mistake. I think they're both wonderful.
Yeah, and also 33 1/3 might have been a mistake. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am woman. Crunches an apple. Yeah, that is that certainly is something. I think the idea of having a bit more of a variety angle to the Monkees could have worked. Like just having like a guest star playing a villain, for example, who was a musician. Like, I don't know. I think Alice Cooper would have been cool because, of course, he was starting out around in the late 60s.
Well, a little fun fact. Season 3, if it was made, it would have been just like Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. What the guys wanted was basically Laugh-In, and then the studio said no, so then they couldn't get to make their own Laugh-In season. Laugh-In would have basically been them having guest like musicians on the show.
Yeah, I think that would have been. I think if they did it like with a slight variety angle, it would have worked. Like, I mean, if they did something that was more like, I don't know, Magical Mystery Tour, for example, as well. I think if they did something that like had a bit of a plot, but also just had the odd song from other people or that kind of thing, I think it would have worked. But I think the problem is with variety and a story at the same time is that you're then sitting there waiting for something to end. I mean, it reminds me, actually, there's a British variety series called Morecambe and Wise. Started out, I think they first started on TV in the 50s, and they bombed, and then during the 60s and 70s they became a staple. You might have seen there's a couple of the Beatles performing on their show, but anyway, it's shown every Christmas, and the sketches are pretty good, but all the musicians, and there's so many great music and so much great music in the 70s, including in the UK, and they just have like the most boring middle of the road musicians on Morecambe and Wise. And you're just like, why didn't you have anyone good on?
Yeah.
Like Cliff Richard was like the most rebellious person they had on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Golly gee, what did he do? Jaywalk?
Exactly. So it was and they had a house band that would play sort of like jazz, but the kind of upbeat jazz, and it shows that that's the more enjoyable music of the show than the middle of the road music they'd have on in between. But anyway, so yeah, back to my point. I think the problem is with variety that attempts a story. I talked about this a bit in my Magical Mystery Tour video. I was comparing it to like the Star Wars Holiday Special and the Ringo Special and that kind of thing. Yeah. And both of them had the same writer, which probably didn't help. But
my God. I did know that because I made a video about it for the anniversary of Star Wars, and I found that out, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, the Ringo special isn't good. I think the trouble is that it's then sat through something, waiting for it to happen. And actually, have you seen 33 and a third revolutions per monkey with Mickey's commentary?
I have not found that. And also Ringo's special, I'm pretty sure that was all just to promote his new album, which I mean, it was funny, but at the end of the day, it was just an album. And 33 monkey commentary. The only commentary I know about is the fact that Peter, Davey, and Mickey did commentary for the biopic, which makes me even more mad because of all the inaccuracies with the movie. Like, I
heard they pretty much spent it talking about the inaccuracies, but yeah, there were commentaries done for the DVDs in the early 2000s, which I think also came out on the Blu-ray. And I think the episodes with the commentaries were, uploaded to YouTube at some point. That have been since been taken down, unfortunately. But even Mickey sounds bored during 33 and a Third Revolutions per Monkey. He did 33 and Third Revolutions per Monkey and Media Kojo. And Media Kojo, he sounds like he's bouncing off the walls of the studio as he's doing the commentary. 33 and a Third Revolutions per Monkey. He's trying to bring the energy, but he just sounds so bored.
Well, here's an interesting
especially during like the interpretive dance of the primordial soup. I think there's a clip compilation actually of his commentary on YouTube, but not the whole thing.
Well, here's an interesting fun fact about the special. Mickey said in his book there were going to be 2 more parts if it did well, but it didn't do well, so they never made those 2 parts.
I think it's also Peter leaving was a reason why they didn't have any more specials.
Peter left because of this. Yes, he left because of this. He said sayonara, and then he went off to become a teacher and coach softball, and then he came back to do the Monkeys.
Yes, so weird. He just had a normal life. I mean, imagine that. I mean, imagine, because I think it still would have been, repeats would have been shown, and obviously the generation of kids who would have been at high school would have been kids who watched the Monkeys when they were younger. So that must have been so weird.
I mean, not really, because Peter, when he was a teacher, he had a beard. Beard's kind of high look, so they probably wouldn't have even known it was Peter unless they just saw his name. They see Mr. Torkelson or Mr. Torque, and they're like, "Oh, it's Peter Tork."
Yeah, I imagine he would have gone by Torkelson.
Yeah, that's his actual name. All right, back to the. This is fun, but we keep deviating.
Yeah. It's good. That means we're contributing to the rather than just reading the article. It's good.
Yeah, because some reviews have called Head pretentious, but it's far from it. Everything is played as a joke, a thumb on the nose, and a tongue in cheek. Even dark moments led us to surreal shtick or a maniac breaking of the fourth wall, which they always do, so this is not even surprising. The film just asks you to take a giant step, to reference, outside your mind and play a wild game of free association. It's all fun and games until the mind-blowing journey is abruptly ended by Big Victor, played by Hollywood legend Victor Mature, who puts the monkeys in a box and drives them off to a place where they can get their minds right, start behaving, and go back to generating reviews for revenue. It's not surprising that 12-year-olds had very little interest in this movie. It is surprising that movie critics were also dismissive. Head quickly disappeared and forced the group to return to TV for the special 33 1/3 Revolutions per Monkey, which was forgotten quicker than Head, and led to Peter Tork exiting the group to become a teacher. See, they mentioned what I just said. I didn't even realize.
Pardon?
They mentioned they mentioned Peter becoming a teacher after he left.
No.
I didn't even realize. I guess I predicted that. With no TV series or future movie projects, the remaining Monkeys carried on recording unsuccessful albums and appearing on shows like Hollywood Squares and The Johnny Cash Show. So one of those is available, while one of those is missing. Meanwhile, Raffleson and Nicholson will move on to their next projects, the successful counterculture films Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces. In the 70s, Mike left to record his brand of quirky country rock and became a music video pioneer, while Mickey and Davey would tour sometime together and work on other TV and stage projects. But in 1986, MTV began airing the Monkees Marathon to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the series. Soon the band was out touring without Mike, and even recording new music. Monkey Mania was back, and it seemed a perfect time for a Head revival. But the Monkees didn't talk much about Head and rarely perform music from it. In 1996, the band would reunite with Mike to record a new album. It was on this tour that songs from the movie started popping up in concert. The group seemed to embrace the movie as part of their legacy, although Davey would continue to say that he thought making it was a mistake. The release of this film on Blu-ray in 2010 as part of the Criterion Collection America Lost and Found, the BBS story, which celebrates the entire output of Raffleson, Schneider, and partner Steve Blauner, is the starting point of the real rebirth of Head. Its cult has only grown in the last decade amongst film historians and filmmakers. Mickey, the only living monkey, ouch, that really hurts, has recently talked about the fact that Quentin Tarantino and Edgar Wright have told them they count as one of their favorite movies. With fans like that, it's guaranteed that Head will never again be forgotten. That's good news, because this boundary-pushing, genre-defying, spaced-out ode to artistic freedom remains one fantastic trip. And that's the end of the article. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, the thing about it being it's not pretentious because it's tongue in cheek. I seem to remember reading an article about Head mentioning that as I think it's probably The Guardian or something. But that reminds me, I haven't read it, but I know a few years ago someone wrote I think it was like a sort of academic literature book about Head. I mean, talking a bit about other things as well, but Head was the focus of that. So yeah, I must check that out at some point. The reason I haven't covered Head is kind of partially because I want to cover it chronologically, and also partially because it probably won't be just a review. It'll be like a big video essay explainer kind of video. Which reminds me, I remember the first time I kind of really understood Head, because I was very confused by the first viewing. And then I think what I did is I went to someone had like a web page on their Tumblr or something that was that explained Head. I think it might have been an account called Psychojello. It might have been a completely different account, but that's an account that I remember looking at quite a lot. That was a Monkeys account.
I think it's interesting you had help understanding Head, but I had to do it all on my own. I figured I could do it on my own, and I did actually figure it out after my third time watching. I was like, oh, that's why the beginning and the end are so similar, because they're stuck in a loop and they can't get out. They're going to be forever trapped in this loop of doing the same thing every day, and they want to get out. Yeah. And I figured it out, and it's like, wow, that's so smart. And then I watched 33 Revolution to Monkey, and I was like, okay, out the window. You ruined my theory. You know, I feel like I constantly yap about Head. It's just one of my favorite movies ever. A misunderstood, bizarre movie made by famous musicians, trying to make a message that people just couldn't understand. And there's one person out there who wasn't sure what the movie was about, but had a theory, and that man was, of course, Mickey Dolenz. But before getting into Mickey's theory, let's just keep talking about Head again. You see, Head was like a big middle finger to Hollywood. The Monkees were, of course, created by Bob and Bert, Raffleson and Schneider. And the band was a TV sitcom at first. Like, they were both things. They were a sitcom band and a real band. That was fun for the whole family. Bob and Bert were also behind the Monkees' only theatrical movie, Head. And while the TV show was accessible, Head is a bizarre art house surrealist film that doesn't really have a plot so much as a series of vaguely connected vignettes. After dipping their toes into the world of high art with Head, Bob and Bert gave us two critically acclaimed movies with Jack Nicholson, Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces. Now let's get back to movie. During a 2022 interview with Variety, Mickey discussed Head in the context of Bob and Bert's partnership. Now, I'm not always so sure what Head was about, but I have a theory, he said. Do you remember the scene where Mike, Terry Garr, and I are doing this western scene within the film, and I'm getting arrows fired by the Indians? Well, in that scene, I got hit by 4 fake arrows. Then I stand up, yank the arrows out of my chest, and yell, "Bob, I'm fed up, I'm not gonna do this anymore." Then I burst through the scrim and into another set and walk out. That to me is metaphorical about what the movie is about and what they were about, busting through the old school traditional Hollywood system. Mickey gave fans insight into who Bob Rafelson was as an artist. That was Bob, busting down the old ways for something new. He helped tear down the walls to essentially almost single-handedly create a new independent Hollywood film industry. The success of Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces helped to create the modern indie film. Before those movies, people tended to associate independent films with silly B-movies like The Blob or Robot Monster or Plan 9. I have never heard of any of these movies. What the hell? Anyways, Bob Rafelson made independent films more intelligent than they ever were before. If you ever enjoyed a movie by Quentin Tarantino or A24, you can thank Bob and the Monkees. Head remains popular among both fans of the Monkees and fans of the avant-garde. While it has a strong cult following, few critics seem to appreciate how much Head paved the way for modern independent cinema. You don't have to enjoy, much less understand, what's going on in Head to admit that it's one of the most important movies from the 60s. It certainly mattered a lot more than any of the movies made by Elvis or the Beatles around the same time, even if it's not as famous as Viva Las Vegas or Yellow Submarine. We might not know what Head was supposed to mean, but we know what impact it had on American movies. I guess I kinda agree with Cheat Sheet about what they're saying about Head, but as I've always said about Head, I believe Head's a metaphor of not wanting to do the same thing all the time. The Monkees are tired of doing the TV show, and they didn't want to do it every single day. The routine of the same old plots, same old things. That's why I love The Monkees in Paris, my favorite episode. They get to finally break the fourth wall completely and just relax. Granted, they hired some girls to chase them around, but they were still relaxing in a sense. And the black box in the movie represented being trapped. They were trapped in this box, and even when they tried to escape the whole movie, they still ended up back in the box, and they're gonna always end up back in the box if they didn't do anything. And they did, and well, people just didn't appreciate it back then. But I don't know, I guess I'm just saying stuff. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Head's like a surreal film? Like, what do you think the message of Head really, truly is? I think this is probably the final video I'll be making about Head. I've talked about it so many times, even to the point where I made a collaboration video with Enchanted Essays, but yeah, if I have to make another Head video, I'm sure it'll be like a good one. When Bob, Bert, and the four of us started discussing the making of the Monkees movie, it was generally agreed that we didn't just want to make a 90-minute version of one of our TV shows. That would be predictable, and besides, we were getting pretty fed up with the standard Monkees sitcom format. Columbia Pictures was putting up the money, a grand total of $750,000, and I don't know what they were expecting. But since Bert's father was the president of the company, who cared? In retrospect, we probably should have just made a 90-minute version of the TV show. It would have been much more commercial, but hindsight is always, etc. Anyway, I'm very proud of the film we eventually did make, Head. A 1968 American satirical musical adventure film written and produced by Jack Nicholson and Bob Rafelson. Directed by Bob Rafelson, starring the television rock group The Monkees, Davy, Peter, Mickey, and Michael, aka Mike, and distributed by Columbia Pictures. A theatrical spin-off of the TV show and a swan song, aka series finale. It started production directly after the completion of the series production. During production, one of the working titles for the film was Changes, which was later the name of an album by The Monkees. Another working title was Untitled. A rough cut of the film was previewed for audiences in Los Angeles during the summer of 1968 under the title Movie Untitled. The film featured Victor Mature as the Big Victor and cameo appearances by Jack Nicholson, Terry Garr, Carol Doda, Annette Funicello, Frank Zappa, Sonny Liston, Timothy Carey, Percy Hilton, and Ray Nitschke. Also appearing on screen in brief non-speaking parts are Dennis Hopper and film choreographer Tony Basil. In total, I have made about 4 videos about the movie, but I never really made a video about the movie. I made videos talking about the movie, like how Daddy's song was going to be Mike's song, but they changed it to Davy's song, how the uncut version of the film has never been shown, and how the movie ruined their image, and also clips of Mickey in the movie. I was supposed to make 3 other videos where you could see the others scenes, but I never got around to doing it, and I really should. This video is going to be going over everything about the movie, and I will be talking about my thoughts on it, so while it counts as a monkey video, it also counts as a movie review. And I know you're going to say that today's the anniversary of Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Jones. That video's also coming. Please be patient. I'm working on both of them at the same time. But without further ado, let's talk about Head, the monkey's only movie. Now, with a movie like Head, you would assume that there is no plot. It's a miracle if there even was a plot, but if you watch the movie a couple times, there is a plot. And lucky for you, even Wikipedia saw it that way, because Wikipedia wrote a plot for this movie that I actually do agree with. A very important thing you need to know about Head is that the beginning and the end are the same, albeit with some differences. You see, the beginning of Head starts at a dedication of a bridge, and as the local politician struggles with his microphone during the dedication speech, the wacky, fun-loving monkeys, Mickey, Dave, Peter, and Mike, suddenly interrupt the ceremony by running through the assembled officials to the sound of various horns and sirens. The rest of the film shows the events leading up to this. You see, earlier, the 4 have just all kissed the same groupie, who tells them that they were indistinguishable. Throughout the film, they make their way both together and separately through a series of unrelated vignettes. Oh, vignettes. I'm just stupid. Let me try that again. Throughout the film, they make their way both together and separately through a series of unrelated vignettes, each being a different type of movie: mystery, war, western, desert, etc. In each segment, the monkeys try to deal with the fact that there are 4 real people in a real band that make records for real people, but they're also scripted characters in a fake TV band doing nothing except exactly what the director wants them to do. So, like a regular Monkeys episode. They continually try to prove to themselves that they are free and can make choices they want. But no matter what they try or what they do, they're deliberately flubbing their lines and scenes from their TV show, pointing out to other characters that they're really just actors making a movie, and complaining to the producers, Jack Nicholson and Bob Rafelson, who are on set but not part of the film, smashing through the painted paper walls, walking up the set and into the street, physically attacking the actors for no reason, and making everyone they encounter mad at them. They discover that every word and deed was predetermined to the finest detail by the script of the movie they're in and the director directing it. So then we cut back to the end of the movie. They're being chased by all these characters, and they're desperately trying to escape the movie. So they all jump off the bridge, falling a very long way and slamming into the water far below. Unfortunately, this too was scripted, as the film's director hauls their soaked bodies away in a huge aquarium while the 4 stare blankly through the glass, struggling under the water. Laughing, he rolls the aquarium into a slot at the studio warehouse to be taken out when he wants to use them again in another movie. This was kind of foreshadowing because they were going to make another movie, but they never made the other movie. Now, when it comes to talking about the production, it's important that I mention Mickey Dolentz's book, because in Mickey Dolentz's book, he mentions everything about Head in here. So, while I was originally going to read from the Wikipedia, I've decided to do bits and pieces of it. I will read the beginning of Mickey's book, then talk about the Wikipedia version of the production, and keep going from there. The guys, Rafelson and Jack Nicholson, all came together in Ojai, California. I think I pronounced that. I think the J silent, but whatever. They all came together and smoked and had a tape recorder. They sat around for days but didn't inhale, drinking but didn't. Okay, he's really funny, Mickey. This is how he wrote it. We sat around for days smoking, but we didn't inhale, drinking, but we didn't swallow, and generally having stream of consciousness sessions about television, movies, music, art, love, lust, good, bad, evil, life, and death. You know, small talk. To be honest, I don't remember a word of what was said, but it must have been pretty weird because Jack and Bob took the tape of the sessions and turned them into one of the strangest films of all time. Head. This planning, though, was not going so well regardless, because when it came time to discuss writing credit, the monkeys were informed that only Jack and Bob would be given credit. Everyone was disappointed and angry, and Mike was furious. In fact, he took all the tapes that were recorded and locked them in the trunk of his car. After a few days of negotiating, the tapes were returned, but they still didn't get any credit. Oh well, onward and upward. Jack Nicholson apparently did a great job on the screenplay. To this day, I'm not sure what it's all about. I'm not even sure if he is, but it was certainly provocative. Basically, it was the story of the monkeys, our birth, life, and death, as metaphors for all of Hollywood and its tinsel and fabric manipulations of people, images, and ideas, and it was loaded with inside jokes from the perspective of a Hollywooder. There's no doubt that Bob Raffleson and Jack Nicholson's personal perceptions heavily colored the finished product. As was becoming the norm, even the making of the movie was to have its problems, at least initially. Right from the beginning of the television series, there had been a dispute over our salaries. Time and time again, Bob and Bert would put their arms around our shoulders and... You remember. Throughout the book, Mickey mentions that Bob and Bert were very controlling when it came to their money, when it came to their music, and especially when it came to what Peter was saying. Remember, Peter had no filter, and I put that on his tism, his spectrumy. Whenever Peter would say anything, they would quickly cut it off and silence him. So, again, read Mickey's book. Because of this, it was Mike who naturally took the lead and introduced the guys, mainly Davey and Mickey, because Peter, I'll mention it later. So, Mike introduced the guys to Jerry Paranicho, who was a very powerful agent in Hollywood at the time. Jerry took them on and promised he would cut them a very lucrative deal. The only problem was that we would have to stick to our guns, make a stand, even strike if it became necessary. This is where Peter pulls a little switcheroo. I don't remember what we were asking for. It couldn't have been much, yet Bob and Bert wouldn't give in. We didn't have many choices open to us. Either hold firm or cave in. And to make matters worse, Peter had decided that he was not going to join them. Peter! The anti-establishment, anti-capitalistic, anti-anti. Here we are, the workers, lined up at the barricades, ready to take on the opulent potentates, and Peter sided with the parsimonious PTB. He was a scab! Good heavens!
Say, what a magnificent pair of bananas. Oh, great heavens! What?
The strike ended after the first day when the studio agreed to a larger percentage share of the film's net for the group, but the incident damaged the Monkees' relationship with Bob Raffleson and Bert Schneider and would effectively end their professional relationship with the producers, which, again, read Mickey's book, it was long happening, it was always slowly there. But this movie certainly really ruin their whole relationship, and it's probably why Raffleson still has the uncut version of the movie, and even after his death, it hasn't been released. Curse you, Bob Raffleson! Curse you from the abyss! And fuck you, Don Kirshner, and fuck you, Bert Schneider! Head was filmed from February 19th to May 17th, 1968 at Columbia Pictures/Screen Gem Studios at Sunset and Gower, Hollywood, California, and at the Columbia Ranch in Burbank, California, as well as various locations in California and elsewhere. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was in Long Beach. The war chant cheerleader sequence was in Pasadena. The factory sequence was in Hyperion Sewage Treatment Plant in Playa del Rey. The war sequence was some of the sequences of the war sequence was in Bronson Canyon at San Francisco. The desert sequence was filmed in Palm Springs, California. The concert sequence was, of course, filmed in Salt Lake City. And the Mickey's underwater sequences, specific ones, were filmed in the Bahamas. Here's the crazy thing. The song Diego Diddy War Chant was actually written by Jack Nicholson. It's a parody of the band's original voice and hard-written TV theme song. Its lyrics illustrated with a tone of self-parody evident in parts of the film. The final, "We're Here to Give to You," is interrupted by a gunshot with footage of the execution of Viet Cong operative Nguyen Van Liem by Brigadier General and then Chief of National Police Nguyen Ngoc Loan. What?
Excuse me, what?
The film's music included contributions from Carole King and Harry Nilsson. Jack Nicholson compiled the soundtrack album, which approximates the flow of the movie and includes large portions of dialogue. The film's incidental music was composed and conducted by Ken Thorne, who also composed and conducted the incidental music to the Beatles' second film, Help, so good stuff there. The film's most famous song, Porpoise Song, appeared at the film's start and finish. Bright color filters heightened the visual effects and dreamlike touch of the passages, which include mermaids rescuing Mickey at the film's start. We never see those mermaids again, so. Well, I did say the start and film, the beginning word, the beginning and the end, I did say they were the same, but they did have some differences. Andrew Sandoval, author of The Monkees, the day-by-day story of the 60s TV pop sensation, and the guy who I said might be a fifth monkey, commented that it had some of their best songs on it, and the movie's musical performances were some of the most cohesive moments in the film. The music of The Monkees often featured a rather dark subject matter beneath a superficially bright, uplifting sound. The music of the film takes the darkness and occasional satirical elements of The Monkees' earlier tunes and makes it far more overt, as in Diddy Diego or Daddy's Song, which has Davy singing an upbeat Broadway-style number about a boy abandoned by his father. So Mike Nesmith's song. Anyways, in his 2012 essay on the soundtrack film, academic Peter Mills noted that on this album, the songs are only part of the story, as they were with the Monkees' project as a whole. Signals, sounds, and ideas interfere with each other throughout. Now, in order to understand why the movie did so poorly, we're going to be talking about the marketing and the reception. You see, for the marketing, the trailer summarized the movie as the most extraordinary adventure, western, comedy, love story, mystery, drama, musical, documentary, satire ever made, and that's putting it mildly. There are no pictures of the Monkees on the original poster, only a picture of John Brockman, who did the PR for the film. Head was one of the first films to be advertised with an MPAA rating, with newspaper advertisements in the New York Daily papers on November 1st, 1968, displaying it as a G rating. This would ruin the film, but we're going to get into that later. Another part of the promotional campaign was placing head stickers on random places. I don't know why I did that. Bob Rafelson commented that he and Jack Nicholson were arrested at the New York City premiere on October 6th for trying to put a sticker on a police officer's helmet as he mounted his horse. They deserve that, not Jack Nicholson. Actually, maybe Jack... You know what? They still deserve it regardless. In my video about the uncut version of Head, I mentioned that they had to cut the film. Because of the poor audience response at an August 1968 screening in LA, it forced the producers to edit the picture from its original 110-minute length. The 86-minute movie premiered in New York City on November 6, 1968. The film later debuted in Hollywood on November 20th. It wasn't a commercial success. Like I mentioned in my collaboration with the Chanted Essays, the movie ruined the group's carefully groomed public image, while the counterculture audience that they had been reaching out rejected the Monkees' effort out of hand. Not only that, but the film's release was also delayed, partially because of the extensive use of solarization, a then new technique both laborious and expensive, and underpromoted. The sole television commercial was a confusing, minimalist close-up shot of a man's head, John Brockman. After 30 seconds, the man smiled and the name Head appeared on his forehead. This ad was a parody of Andy Warhol's 1964 film BJ, which only showed a close-up of a man's face for an extended period, supposedly receiving I can't say it on YouTube, I'm gonna get in trouble. The film only succeeded in one thing, and that was alienating the band's teenage fan base while failing to attract the more adult audience for which they had strived. The movie received mixed critical reviews and virtually non-existent box office receipts. Head's abysmal reception halted studio plans for any further films with the Monkees. It also corresponded with a steep drop in the group's popularity as record artists. The Head soundtrack peaked at number 48 on the US chart, the first time any Monkees album had now risen up to the top 5. Porpoise Song was also the first single to not make it to the top 40. In her scathing review, Renata Adler of the New York Times commented, "Head might be a film to see if you have been smoking grass, or if you like to scream at the Monkees, or if you are interested in what interests drifting heads and hysterical high school girls." She added that the group are more interested for their lack of similarity to the Beatles, going through ersatz Beatles songs and jokes and motions to complete lack of distinction of any kind, makes the performance modest and almost brave. Daily Variety was also harsh, stating that Head is an extension of the ridiculous nonsense served up on the Screen Gems Vid series that manufactured the Monkees and lasted 2 full seasons following the same format and ostensibly appealing to the same kind of audience. But the review applauded Bob and Jack Nicholson, saying that they were wise to not attempt a firm storyline, as the Monkees have established themselves in the art of the non sequitur and outrageous action. Giving them material that they can handle is good thinking. Asking them to achieve something more might have been a disaster. Funciolo said when she saw the film, "It made no more sense to me than it ever had." When she read the script, but it was challenging, offbeat role, and she was happy to play it. I forgot that she was in this movie. That's an actor saying that. An actor. The film was released on September 18, 1986 on VHS, Beta, and Laserdisc. Yeah, it took them that long. It also took them a while. Well, it didn't really take them a while to re-release it on VHS, but still, they re-released it on VHS on January 25th, 1985. It was released on DVD twice. First as an individual release on June 12th, 2000, and then again on December 14th, 2012, as part of the Criterion Collection box set, America Lost and Found, the BBS story. It was released on Blu-ray twice. First on November 23rd, 2010, as part of America Lost and Found, and then again on July 8th of 2016, as part of the Monkees, the Complete Series Blu-ray box set. If you want to watch it, it's on Tubi, but it's also on YouTube, and I also have a Google Drive link that has the TV show, the specials, and the movie. Despite everything I just told you about Head, from the production to the plot to the release to the marketing to everything all about it, it still developed a cult following. We younger Monkey fans appreciate the movie, but Leonard Maltin described it as delightfully plotless and well worth seeing, giving the film 3 out of 4 stars, which is pretty good. Head premiered on television across the board as a CBS late movie on December 30th, 1974. The network rebroadcast the film on July 7th of 1975. Cable TV took hold in 1981 when Head began periodic showings on Spotlight. Cinemax began airing the film in 1984. In the UK, Channel 4 also aired it on its British TV in 1986 and 1991. It was later shown regularly on Star Cinema, and in 2007, Turner Classic Movies featured the film as part of TCM Underground, showing the film's unedited and its original racial aspect. This is pretty cool. The unedited movie. They had it! Ooh. I already mentioned when it was released on home media, so I can skip over that. When asked by Rolling Stone magazine in March of 2012 if he thought making Head was a mistake, Mike Nesmith responded by saying that by the time Head came out, the Monkees were a pariah. There was no confusion about this. We were on a cosine of the line of approbation, from acceptance to rejection, and it was over. Head was a swan song. We wrote it with Jack and Bob, and we liked it. It was an authentic representation of a phenomenon we were part of that was winding down. It was very far from suicide, even though it may have looked like that. A decade earlier, in his commentary for the TV series episode Fairy Tale, Mike called the film the murder of the Monkees, an intentional move by Schneider and Rafelson, who had their eyes on bigger goals and felt that the Monkees project was holding them back. Peter Tork echoed a similar statement during the Monkees' 2001 interview on the VH1 series Behind the Music. VH1 made the... Whatever. In 2001, Davy Jones said that the Monkees should have never made the movie. For all the negative remarks, there have been positive comments, showing Mickey, whether knowingly or unknowingly, as a fashion trendsetter. In Straight Outta Compton, author Adam Foley wrote more glowingly, Julian Hewings, I was watching Head, the Monkees film, and there was a bit of at the beginning when Mickey Dolenz falls from the Golden Gate Bridge, and he's got a pair of slightly flared bootcut jean cords with a pair of Adidas Gazelles, probably the first ones that ever came out with a stripy t-shirt, and I thought, wow, that's what I remember when I was a kid. That's what everyone used to wear when they went to school. I just thought, wow, yeah, that's really speaking to me there, and I got the others together. And when, have a look at this, we're going to go out and find these clothes, and that's what we're going to wear. The look came first before the music. Not to flex, but my pair of Adidas shoes are very similar to the ones Mickey wore in Head. And I wore these when I first saw him in concert, and I will wear these again when I see him again.
I've had all the time I need to rearrange my mind and lead the life I thought I wanted yesterday. I played a game that couldn't last, and now some memories from the past.
So after all of that, everything I have said to you, what are my thoughts on the movie? It's alright. No, but in all seriousness, I think that this movie definitely took a while to understand. You need to watch it a couple of times to get it. And on my fourth watching of it, it finally clicked for me what the movie was about. And I loved it. And watching it for the fifth time with the understanding of what I learned from the fourth time, I was like, man, how can anyone hate this movie? It takes you a while. Granted, if you're not, like, under the influence while watching this movie, you won't get it. But just take it get a couple times to watch it, you know? If you are under the influence while watching it, then you'll get it immediately. If you're not, it's gonna take you a while, and that's okay. In conclusion, I think Head is a good movie.